Hello. I want to talk about something that I've been reflecting on. So many people who come to me feel like I'm the only one with a time problem like this. The struggles that I have, I feel like I'm the only one who isn't praying consistently. I'm scrolling in bed. I'm not getting enough sleep. I feel like I'm not being who God made me to be. And they feel like it's just them and there's something really wrong with them. Like it's an inherent problem with me or my personality. I just have some kind of serious flaw or failing and I'm never going to be able to figure it out. And there isn't really any hope for me. And I'm just going to be stuck feeling perpetually guilty about how I'm spending my time. That is the vibe of a lot of people that I talk to. So I've been thinking about what what do I think are the real reasons that we are, firstly, everyone's struggling with time. Everybody, I think anyone that you grabbed off the street, like everyone feels like I don't have enough time. I don't have the time to do the things that I want to do. I don't know that I'm using my time well. Maybe I am some of the time, but I'm not doing it over in these other places. Everybody feels busy. So what I want to show you is why this is not like whatever your time struggles are, they are not a you problem. They're a human problem. I'll say that again. Your time struggles are not a you problem. There is not something specifically wrong with you. They are a human problem. Okay, so I've got three main reasons that I've boiled it down to that I think are going on. So and if I had to summarize it in one sentence, like what is really happening is you're living in this world with a fallen human nature and you're living in a fallen world. Those two things. So I'm going to break that down. So firstly, this is universal across the board. There is nobody alive on earth right now who does not have a fallen human nature, who does not grapple with a fallen human brain, what the church calls concupiscence, this inclination towards sin, towards desiring things, like having disordered desires that are not where God is not at the top. And one way that I like to think about this is what's called the motivational triad. So your brain is just really invested in staying in its comfort zone. It wants to seek pleasure, specifically instant gratification. It wants to avoid pain, and it wants to minimize effort or conserve energy. And like your brain is it's so invested in that. It wants to stay comfortable. It wants to stay safe. And so it's going to throw everything at you, every trick in the book, trying to get you to go after the things that give you instant gratification, that avoid the pain, and that minimize effort. So that is across the board. That is everybody. That is not just you. That's what we're working with. Then the second thing, which is quite widespread, is most likely you have been poorly formed. So whether that's your Catholic education at school left something to be desired, whether it's the formation that you received in your parish, like I think this is a very widespread problem that we're all facing to some degree, that we're just one of the best descriptions of education that I've ever heard, in a Catholic education specifically, is that it's meant to, so in the fall, things kind of disintegrated and came apart, and education is supposed to put back together what was separated. And I think in myself, I was blessed to have a very good education, but even if you did have if you went to a good school, maybe once you left school, maybe you struggle to find it. Like, I think we struggle to find things that are really like challenging us to be our best self, that really teach us really solid church teaching, really well grounded in philosophy and theology. This is just a very widespread problem. If you have not encountered this in some way, shape, or form, you are very lucky. You are very blessed. And so yeah, we've got this fallen human nature, this fallen brain, and we've got to navigate our beliefs and our desires and urges for comfort and our decision making and our relationship with fear and failure. We got to navigate all of these things, and then we didn't really receive good formation for like in how to navigate that. So we've got this chaotic interior life we've got to navigate, and then we haven't really been taught how to navigate it. So there's those two problems. And then on top of that, as if that wasn't enough, then on top of that, we are living in a world that no saint has gone before us to leave us an example. So what do I mean by that? We're living in the attention economy with all of the online noise and information overload that is happening there. And it's literally an attention economy. Like, literally the companies are fighting over our attention because that is the most valuable thing for them. But the problem is our attention is the most valuable thing for us as well. Like, what you pay attention to is what your life is made up of. The memories you have, the way that you solve problems, the way that you make, what decisions you make, everything. Like, your life is what you pay attention to. And so everybody wants our attention, and nobody, even recent saints who've been canonized, and Saint what's his name, Carlo Acutis, he's about to be canonized, and yes, he grew up somewhat in the digital age, but he still died 20-ish years ago, and the digital landscape now is very different than it was then. We're at a whole new level. Like, we're trying to be in the world and not of the world, and yet we can't even go to bed without the world coming with us. Like, a lot of people tell me that they go to bed, but then they're scrolling in bed, or it's the first thing they do in the morning. Like, it's coming with us, not just into our homes, but in every part of our homes. And so what is that? None of us, like, we're pioneers in this. Like, none of us have figured out, like, what does it look like? How do we live in the world and not of the world when the world is just with you in your pocket all the time? And, coming with you everywhere you go. And so, what else do I want to say about that? So to recap, we've got our fallen human brains, our fallen nature. Then on top of that, so that's what everybody has. Then we've got widespread poor formation, and we're not really taught how to navigate this life with this brain. And then we're putting that scenario into this situation where there's uncharted territory, where there's no, so what I was saying was there's no saint we can look to who has given us an example of how to navigate life with a smartphone. So we are just figuring this out. We're grappling with it with a real lack of tools. So what I hope that you take from this is there really is like nothing like wrong with you specifically. We are all struggling with this. It makes, I think, perfect sense that we would be struggling with our time and the way that we're making decisions and believing things that are not true, and getting caught in what I think of as time traps that we're not even aware of happening, because there's just this like perfect storm of things going on. And what I think happens is we then, because there's just all of these different factors going on, we don't realize what the root problem is, which is actually interior. And so all of this stuff happens, and then we think, oh, the problem is I need to work on my strategy. I need to work on my behavior in this particular area. Like we look at it from we look at the outside, we focus on the externals and what the routine is and the schedule and all of this stuff, instead of looking internally first and foremost. But time management is an inside job. How you spend your time starts with what's happening up here and in here, like what desires you're most connected to, what you're believing about yourself, what you're believing about your life, what you're believing about God and time, what you're believing about your past failures and potential future failures, all of that. And so that's where we need to start the problem solving. It doesn't mean that you only focus there and we don't focus on the strategies, but most of the problem solving has to come or start with those internal areas. So I hope that thinking about all of that you feel we've at least shifted a little bit this idea that there is something wrong with you specifically, or that like, why haven't I figured this out yet? Why can't I get it together? I should be able to figure this out. All of that stuff. I hope we've moved the needle on that a little bit. And this is like all of this, like this interior work, how you navigate your brain, your desires, your decision making, and your relationship with fear and failure, those root causes for how we spend our time. That is where I focus the coaching that I do with my clients. That is what we work on. And we work on, like when you work on the skills necessary for each of those, we grow in the 4 cardinal virtues. And so we are like learning we're filling in those gaps. We're figuring out like, how do I combat my brain wanting to seek pleasure, avoid pain, and minimize effort? Like, how do I navigate that? How do I deal with that? We're figuring out like, what are the gaps in my formation? What are the lies I'm believing? What have I missed? What have I misunderstood? And what do I need to know? We're filling in all of those gaps. And then we are developing like a really strong self-concept and relationship with God that can navigate this brave new world that no saint has mapped before us, for us to look to, and helping you become a pioneer in this world, because and to believe that God doesn't make mistakes. He sent you for such a time as this. In this time, in this place, he has a mission for you. So yeah, that is where it's at. Like, that is where we want to be focusing our attention when we think about solving whatever time problems that we have. Whatever you're noticing, like the prayer, the excessive scrolling on the phone, the ways that you're not maybe exercising, not getting enough sleep, leaving things for the last minute, all of those things, those are really, those are the things that we notice, but they're really like the top of the iceberg, the tip of the iceberg, and there's all this other stuff going on under the surface. So yeah, if you would like help untangling, bringing awareness to um, those things that are happening under the surface, you want to go to the link in my bio, book a free consultation. So we will really kind of do a deep dive, looking at where, like, what are the time traps that you're falling into that you're not even aware of? What's the real root cause? And where do we want to focus our attention to um, become a better steward of your time? And there's something else I wanted to say about that. That's annoying. Probably think of it later. But yeah, they're really fun, and you will walk away. My hope always is that you walk away feeling clear on where you're going and really untangling this idea that there is something wrong with you and you're not capable of figuring this time management thing out. That's what I want you to hear today. That is just not true. And so if that is really exciting news to you, then let's have a conversation. Let's make it happen. Let's let it not let me start again. Let's make it so that it doesn't just stay an exciting idea. Let's make it actually a tangible reality in your life. Let's walk all the way through that transformation together. I would love to do that with you. So you want to book a free consult in at the link in my bio. And I will see you there. All right. God bless.